What's up guys, thank you for watching. For those of you who haven't been on our channel before, my name is Robert. I'm the owner here at StudioRSR, and today we're going to be showing you guys our latest release for the new GR86 BRZ. Let's go check it out. So before we get started talking about the features of the cage and the GR86 altogether, just want to thank you guys not just for watching, but if you guys can't tell, if you've seen our other videos before on our channel, we've moved. So we're in a new shop, you know, and it's a little bit bigger than what we had before. We have more lifts than before, so super thankful to everybody supporting us and our team here. And we're really proud to keep pushing ourselves and announce this new product for you guys. Starting off, obviously, you know, our cages come 100% ready to install. There's over 6,500 different colors of powder coat that you can choose from. If you reach out to our reps, we can send you the link. You guys can have fun picking what color out of 6,500 available options. So this one, obviously, Angel, the owner of Art of Attack, whose car this belongs to, he was nice enough to let us use his car to test fit the first cage. So we matched it, and he actually wanted to match the exact paint color of the car. Powder coat doesn't always come out the same exact color as it does for the factory, but the powder coat that we chose, pretty close match. Obviously in camera you can't tell, but in real life it does look really good. Also too, our lights are still the old halogen, so we're gonna get some LEDs in here, hopefully get some better lighting. But anyway, back to the cage. So a lot of people ask, you know, what's the difference between a bolt-in cage and a weld-in cage? Obviously with the bolt-in cage, you're still able to pass NASA SCCA rulebook specifications for bolt-in cages. Those of you who are going to use your GR86 or your new BRZ for time trials, NASA time trials, SCCA time trials, this cage will 100% work for you. And mainly that's because not only the design of the cage and where it mounts to, but the mounting plate size. So you can see that these mounting plates have enough surface area and are actually over the amount of the minimum surface area required per the NASA SCCA rulebooks. Going on to the main hoop itself, the tube bender we have is a wide radius tube bender. And the reason that we use a wide radius tube bender is that when you bend a tube, there's the possibility of something called metal crimping. So on the inside radius of a bend, that is also where the metal crimping can take place. And if that happens, obviously that's a weakness in the structure of the tube and the overall rigidity of the cage. So besides the metal crimping too, the outside of the tube bend is also wider, and then that way you're not stretching the metal too thinly. Obviously when you're stretching it on the outside radius, that is a longer distance, and therefore the thickness of the tube changes in that area, and that's why we use a wide radius tube bender. The minimum requirements for a cage are usually, you know, one crossbar that leads to the driver's side head. This way it supports the main hoop right by the driver's head, and it allows it to not crush in case of an actual rollover. Obviously, the next biggest thing is the harness bar height. A lot of people don't realize that when you run harnesses, harness manufacturers have a specified seat to bar angle where the harness itself has to be at the correct angle down from your seat. So we place this in an average zone where most of the widely used top-level brands of harnesses will land in the correct seat to harness angle. So one of the biggest things that sets our cages apart from other options in the market are our proprietary tubing clamp connectors. So if you could see here, these tubing clamps are what connect the main hoop and the rear section of the cage together. And the difference is you can buy these generic tubing clamps from any fabrication or metal supply store, but we don't just do that. We have them proprietarily machined. And you can see the difference here from if you were to buy just a generic tubing clamp, not only would you have to weld it to this section, but you'd have to weld the clamp on this side to another tube. But for every model that we make, we have them machined correctly for a solid rod. So that way you only get one solid connection to the main hoop and not two extra welds welding the tubing clamps together. So now that we've gone over the basic features and benefits of the GR86 and BRZ cage that we're showing you guys, let's actually go look in the car itself. All right, so as you guys can see, we've already torn this car down. It's torn down to a level where you guys won't need to be doing that if you end up getting the cage and trying to install it yourself, which is totally doable. Install is going to be around 2 to 2.5 hours based on your experience. The tools needed are basic. You know, to get the seats out, you need an E-socket, 4 bolts for each seat, and then just your normal socket set, wrenches, no specialty tools needed for that. The weird thing was when we put the old BRZ 86 cage in this new GR86, it did fit. All the mounting points are the same. The only difference that we had to make, the only change that we had to make was affect the lean back. Because when we put that cage in, there was literally no room for the driver. So we thought that that was going to be a pretty quick change, and unfortunately, you know, changing the lean back angle affected a lot of the design of the cage. So basically had to start from scratch, changing that angle and getting everything back into the correct position. Getting the tolerances and clearances to the inside and to the B-pillar, having everything within the spec geometry was one of the challenges with this design. Yeah, fortunately, Carlos, our lead fabricator, worked his magic, and we were able to redesign the lean back angle and then have everything in the correct geometry. And then now we've actually got more room than the old chassis with the old cage in it. So this new GR86 BRZ is going to be a little bit more street friendly. Obviously Angel's car here is built for the track, so we're excited to get the cage in, and we'll show you guys some of the install right now. Guys, Oscar and Leo just wrapped up the install of the cage. As you can see, it's bolted into the floor. The main hoop goes to the chassis floor on this car, and that allows you to keep the bottom seat bench in the car. One of the things that we always like to focus on during development and for the safety aspect is how close we get to the actual interior shape of the car. Obviously with a weld-in roll cage, you know, these things would be probably taken out. You take your roof liner out. But our cages are designed for track enthusiasts and guys trying to do time trial who have multiple purposes, street and track use for their GR86 or BRZ. So, you know, all the interior panels stay in the car. The bottom seat bench, like I said, the only thing that you do remove is the vertical back of the seat. That does have to come out. That way the cage mounts to the frame rail of the car in the rear. As you can see, everything's 100% reversible. The holes that you do have to drill in the floor of the car are very small. They're 5/16 bolts, and then obviously you have to cut the carpet because the cage does need to mount to the metal of the car. Now the good thing about that is that the placement of this is exactly where your actual carpet goes over the liner of the car. So if you do ever decide to take the cage out of your car, you can, you know, which a lot of people have done before. Even guys with leases have taken the cage out and brought it back for lease return with no issues. Carpet goes right back over where those slits are made, and it looks like it's OEM. If you guys have any questions, we're going to show you a little bit more of the cage and what it looks like with the seats installed, and I'll hop in the driver's seat to give you guys an idea of how much room there is when you're driving the car with the cage in it. One more thing before we put the seats back in the car and show you guys how much room there is. Wanted to talk about these optional harness rings that are on the cage. So these rings are a $100 option you can upgrade your cage with, and basically they're designed to stop the harnesses on the harness bar from moving side to side. And then the other option that we sell our signature harness reels. These are made out of 6061 aluminum, very light, very strong, and they're designed to hold up to a 3-inch harness. And these will, you know, you don't get both of these unless you really want to, which would look kind of weird. But let me see if I can get this put on real quick.
Five years later.
All right, so as you can see, obviously, again, you know, you'd either get the harness ring as an option for $100 on both sides, or you would get a set of these for each side, and each set comes with 2, and it's $160 to add these 6061 aluminum harness reels as an add-on option for your cage. Very cool piece, keeps everything nice and clean, and then obviously you don't have that extra mess of harness that should be wrapped up, and then usually people zip tie it, but this keeps it nice and clean without zip ties. All right guys, so seats are back in, and you can see it's a perfect driving position when you're on the track. You know, you get a nice perfect view out the windshield, lots of room. All right, let's get into actual position. So Me, I am around 5'9", 5'10" on a good day, but this is the perfect driving position for this car. Obviously, a lot of you guys will probably want to keep your stock seats, but if you're in the market to get a roll cage for your GR86 or BRZ, then, you know, probably race seats or bucket seats are going to be on the list too, which we can help you out with as well. But as you can see, the stock seats are really thick, so even though that's the case, you still get a nice, comfortable performance position. So this being a manual car, it's in the perfect spot where I like to be. Angel's on his way now to pick up the car, and they're actually getting it ready for the track this weekend. So thank you again to Angel at Art of Attack for letting us use this car for the development. Looking forward to doing more things with this chassis. I was fortunate enough to drive this car on the track, and it does live up to the hype. Definitely a driver's car. It's very agile, and the new engine with the torque band is perfect. So, but if you guys have any questions about our BRZ GR86 roll cage, please hit up our website, www.studiorsr.com. Our email is info@StudioRSR, and our guys here are available to answer any questions through the phone, 844-991-5582. And we'll see you guys at the track.